Hello, hello. How are we today? Good evening. Why does it feel like it's been forever since I've actually jumped into this Facebook group and done a live? I can see that I'm live. That's amazing. Just going to make sure that we are visible. Oh, hello. No, don't want to hear myself. Welcome along to this session, folks. If you are somebody who doesn't want to give up food, a specific food, somebody who is worried and concerned about needing to give up the foods that they love and enjoy for weight loss, or if you're somebody who thinks that they are going to have to go without and live with deprivation because they desire weight loss, this is going to be for you. If you're someone who's really craving something all the time, this is also actually a good video for you. If you're always craving the same sort of foods, maybe even if you've got a regular or a pattern, a habit that you have around food, around the foods that you really, really enjoy, then this is probably also going to be a really good live for you guys to watch. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. I try to all the time, but I do waffle a little bit. So sorry, not sorry, to be honest with you. So we're just going to go right in, folks. I've not got many notes. I've just got my main key points here. So I would love for you to let me know if you're watching this on live, of course. Let me know if you're watching this on replay. Type in live or replay, say hello. Say it's me, say where you're from. Let's not all be strangers here. I'm kind of tired of talking to myself, so come and say hello. It would be wonderful to see who's on. So just hit that comment box and converse with me in the comments, because even after the video is done, even when you're watching on replay, I can still talk along with you and help you as you discover or listen to what I'm saying and help you along your journey. So let's get started, or before we get started, I want to invite you all to a call. You were probably expecting that if you have been here before. If you haven't, welcome along. We've got a few new members in at the moment. So if you are not aware, in the entry questions, everyone, or you get told in the entry questions, that everyone gets a free coaching call with me, okay? So every single member, that's over 700 members in this group, you get a free coaching call. Don't ask me how I managed to keep my diary going. I have no idea, but you guys get a free call with me. So I want you to jump on that, okay? Type in call underneath. What's going to happen is we're going to uncover all of the shit that's holding you back, the reasons why you're stuck, what your main goals are, how you want to progress and move forward. And at the end of it, if you don't want coaching, that's totally fine. That's absolutely fine. What you will get are 3 clear steps based on what we've talked about to help you get out of your own funk, to help you get out of your own shit. Okay. So if you are needing a little bit more guidance, regardless of whether it's weight loss, plant-based lifestyle, whatever it is, if it's health, habit, weight related, nutrition related, I can help, or I would like to see if I could help, should I say. So just type the word call in below and we'll get on a call. No commitments needed. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk to you about how you can eat the foods that you love and still lose weight. Before we go anywhere, I would love for you guys, especially those that are watching on the replay, to drop in the comments right now. What do you think I'm going to say? What do you think I'm going to say here? What do you think I'm going to say when I say that you can eat the foods that you love and still lose weight? I'm really curious to know what you personally think is the truth, or what you personally think is possible. Okay, so let me know in the comments. Now, I want to start with, while you're typing that and while you're typing away and telling me your answers, I want to start with the fact that it is really important to understand, and I mean not just acknowledge, but truly understand, that not all foods are inherently good nor bad. Now, we all have probably heard this at one stage in our life, and it probably usually comes from some sort of diet coach and never a nutritionist, funny enough. But no foods are really good nor bad. Okay, the problem with the words good or bad are the very same reasons why I hate places and hate is a strong word, I'm sorry, why I really dislike weight loss programs that talk about sins, you know who you are, and really create a negative connotation with food. Because what ultimately we want to get to is a place where we remove the emotion, remove guilt, remove shame, remove the idea of being sinful and naughty and bad or good, and just replace it for what it really is. Why don't we start using words like great fuel or not good fuel, right? Okay, I know you're probably thinking, hang on a minute, Bianca, you just use the same words, right? And also not good fuel is not grammatically correct. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is either adding in vocabulary or changing your vocabulary, right? So we need to acknowledge that the food is food and it's fuel, right? So would you put, and you've probably heard this analogy before, would you put diesel in a petrol car? Would you put petrol in a diesel car? No, it's not that great fuel, right? It's not going to be good and operational for the car. It's not going to help the car operate in a good level, in a good way. It's probably going to start sputtering and, well, I don't know cars, but it might blow up. Let's hope that you don't get to that stage. But what I'm saying is we need to acknowledge that it is food, whether it is beneficial or not. Okay, so for example, food that you might have, we could turn around and say, well, this food is going to be extremely beneficial for me, or it's not going to be as beneficial as something else, right? So again, what we're trying to do here, sorry if that was noisy, what we're trying to do here is remove the emotion and guilt and shame away from the foods themselves and just acknowledge your decision and your choices for what they are. Are they the best option at the time, or are they better? Is it the worst option that you could have chosen for energy, for clarity, for memory, for healing? Is it the best idea that you could have chosen, or the not so best option? So the problem is when we start talking about good and bad, is because it's so emotionally driven, is we often actually bring it upon ourselves. And just because we're eating a good or bad food, we then tend to feel like we are good or bad for consuming that food. How many times have you had a smoothie, a green smoothie or a juice or something really healthy, and you've turned around and said, oh, I'm really good today. I have had this. Now I want you to think, how many times have you ever had a packet of biscuits, a chocolate bar, maybe if you're trying to be plant-based, a ham sandwich or something, I don't know where that came from. And now you turn around and say, oh, I was really bad today, I had this. The problem with this association of good and bad with food is that that good or bad association then gets passed on to us. Now we are feeling shame. Now we are feeling guilty. Now we are feeling like we have to make up for it. And making up for it usually happens with restriction or overeating. So the words themselves, good or bad, that's not the bad thing about, or the issue about what we're talking about. It's then how it impacts you mentally and emotionally. And that mental emotional impact is also going to impact and have what's the word? And have a, you're going to be like, is this so, Bianca? It basically has an impact on your results and your actions and your behaviors, right? This is doing my nutting. I can see it behind me and I don't know what's annoying me. So my first point here, our foods are not good, they're not bad. We need to take away the fear from not having it as well, to allow the enjoyment when you are having it. So what I mean by this is we often fear the fact that these foods are being taken away from us, right? Because they're bad. Oh, it's bad, so I can only have it in small amounts. Oh, because it's bad, then I'm never going to be able to have this again. This often comes up with a lot of my clients, and I know that this idea of restriction and taking it away makes people want to have it more. And you've probably seen this with kids. You probably saw it yourself as a teenager. If you get told that you can't have something or you shouldn't do something, you kind of want to do it a little bit more. This is what we call in my practice the inner rebellious child syndrome. Okay, so sometimes we'll have a fear of not being able to have that one thing again, never ever being able to have that pack of biscuits again. So what do? We don't sit there and enjoy them once in a while. We try and cut them out by finishing them off from the cupboard, by buying one last one just in case, right? And then we are left feeling shitty and shameful and judging ourselves and feeling disgusting and feeling bloated because we have eaten all of those foods that we fear about losing because we're clinging on to them so much. So we need to start taking away the fear from not having it to also allow the enjoyment for when you are having it. Allow yourself these foods. Yeah, these foods are totally fine. It's okay for weight loss if I have this once in a while. Newsflash, right? I'm not 100% whole foods plant-based. I'm 100% plant-based, but not whole foods plant-based. What this means is I occasionally enjoy some junk food now and then, because I want to, because I am with my partner, and if he wants a vegan croissant, I want a vegan croissant too. But you know what? It fits into my daily life because I now do not need to lose weight. I know what my maintenance is. And with the tools that I'm going to give you today, I am able to work it into my diet without continuously packing on the weight. You might say, oh, well, it's all good and well for you because, you know, you're not the size that I am. I understand that. But also what I am doing right now is eating for maintenance. And what someone who is putting on weight or staying at a heavier weight is doing is eating for maintenance at their level or eating in surplus. And what we need to do here is, yes, we need to understand that, yes, we can have our foods, but as we always know, in moderation, right? Where does this moderation sit? And it's such a sucky thing to say and hear is, yeah, you can have it, but within moderation. Yeah, you should have this, but within moderation. Because there's no definitive line of moderation. But I just think applying the things that we're talking about today is going to be really, really important. So my next point is to be able to leave food behind when it tastes good and say no, okay? This kind of trickles on from that fear of never having it again, right? It's never going to be around me. I'm never going to be able to enjoy it. Maybe even some people will say, yeah, but I'm here now, I might as well have it, or I bought it, I might as well eat it, or I didn't buy it, I might as well eat it. So these are all kind of the same sort of realm where we need to understand that we can leave food behind. It is okay to leave food behind. If you bought it and you want to finish it, where does that teach you on the next time round how much less to buy? So what I'm saying is, if you're constantly overbuying and you're constantly getting to the stage where you think, oh, well, I don't want to waste it, then stop wasting it in the first place by overbuying. Underbuy for a week, like buy like half of the shit that you would usually buy and see if that actually helps understand how much that you need and how much you don't need. And so going back to my point of leaving food behind when it tastes good is we need to really, really be mindful that we can have these things again. There's no need to fear about not having them again, right? And we will have them again. But we need to understand that it's okay to leave the food behind. You're not in a life or death scenario. You know that you're going to be able to eat again. It's not like your older sibling or your parent is going to take the food away anymore. That's not going to happen. So wherever this fear is or internalized excuses are coming from, You need to be able to let that go and understand that you can leave good tasting food behind. And it's okay. The funny thing is a lot of food is actually made to hit this like glory point, right? It needs to have enough fat, enough crunch, enough salt, enough sugar. It needs to be addictive. You need to be able to eat it within 3 bites, right? This junk food that is constantly on the shelves, bombarded in our faces, it is designed to be desirable. It is designed to want to taste good and keep going back. Like those damn vegan croissants at that bloody cafe down the road keep bringing up, and they look delicious. But they've been designed for us to want it. So just a little caveat here, just understand as well that these foods are designed to be tasty, to be delicious. And it's okay that we get to leave them behind because we have that control. Right? Anytime that I hear someone say, I have no control around food, no. You'd have decided to use that as a reason or an excuse to mask other things. You always have the power to do something. It's just your desire to go against that decision when you say, I don't have the power to do it. That desire to go through it is being driven by something else. Okay. Let me know if this is making sense. Am I babbling? Am I talking to myself? Please let me know. So my next point today is to always plan the foods you love. Okay. So if you know that you really love Oreos, then plan Oreos. Obviously, if it's a food that's triggering, that's causing you inflammation, that is really, really difficult for you to digest or doesn't work for your body, then obviously we want to avoid it. If it's a food that you love and you know that you can handle around and say no and put them away when you've had enough, then plan them. If it is a food that you really, really struggle to minimize and not eat all at once, plan them. Yes, I'm saying to bring them in. Because what happens is people say, oh, I really struggle containing myself around that pack of Oreos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them out for like 5 weeks until I get better at this dieting malarkey. And then I know that you're laughing because I know that you're thinking that I'm talking to you. And then I'm going to cut them out for 5 weeks and then reintroduce them because then I'll be better. The funny thing is how can you be better at saying no to something that's your that's your thing, that's your jam, if you've cut them out for 5 weeks, right? It's like we would also then reintroduce them in the exact same way that we used to eat them. So we wouldn't put 2 on a plate and go and sit down and eat them mindfully when we reintroduce them. Because we're switching back to old habits. We see the colors, we smell the flavor, we smell the biscuits or whatever it is. We'll hear that packet, we'll see it, and then we'll taste the Oreos and we'll go straight back. I don't know why I'm using Oreos. Then we'll go straight back to the you that used to enjoy these before you cut them out because you have not learned how to deal with these foods in a different and productive way. So going back to plan your foods, I get my clients to plan their food every single day as often as they possibly can. So what I mean is they plan all of the foods that they want to have during the day. This minimizes binge eating, it minimizes grabbing foods that they wouldn't really want. This minimizes thinking about food, having to really plan food. It minimizes decision fatigue. It really does help. It's such a small and simple tool, but it actually helps to minimize all of the overthinking, all of the worrying around food. And that then minimizes the time that you're thinking about food, which then minimizes the amount that you're going to want to go and eat. So always plan the foods that you want to have on a daily basis or even on a week, okay? Because, as we know, deprivation doesn't really work. My next tip is to pair the least nutritious foods that you're going to eat, i.e. that pack of Oreos. I'm just going to stick with it because it seems to be at the top of my head. Pair these Oreos with nutritious whole foods. Well, why are you telling me to eat more, Bianca? I don't understand. I'm glad you asked that question. Once you start pairing them with foods, they're going to fill you up more. Okay, you might be consuming a little bit more calories to start off with, but once you get used to it, you're probably going to want to reduce that snacking and reduce the food that you're going to have with them. But also increasing the nutrients that is going to go with them is going to boost, it's going to reduce your insulin spike. It's going to reduce that blood sugar spike. It's going to help increase the fiber. It's going to help pass it all through, absorb and digest that food better, quicker, and properly. So if, for example, you wanted some Oreos, what I would recommend doing is having some Oreos and having a yogurt and blueberries with it. Because what you're doing is you're increasing this to a meal. And if you're having the Oreos, then clearly we're hungry, right? If you're having the Oreos and you've listened to any of my other videos before, you know that we eat when we're hungry and we don't eat when we're not hungry. So if you're eating the Oreos, you must be hungry. Now we're going to add some bulk to it, add some nutrients, make it nutritious, and have them together. Okay, this is a really good idea to help pad out those snacks so you don't then end up overeating on the Oreos or whatever it is, chocolate, ice cream, whatever it is. Because what happens is that you feel full because you are full, but you're full from healthy, nutritious foods, not full from the junk foods that provide no nutrition. Lesser of two evils, right? Okie dokie. So hopefully that helps. Pair the least nutritious foods with whole, healthy, nutritious foods. My next point here, folks, is to learn to eat these foods mindfully. Of course, you're probably going to say, Bianca, I'm not surprised that you're telling me to eat them mindfully. Then why aren't you doing it? Why are you still allowing fear around these good and bad foods to take over? Why are we still eating them so fast? Why are we still eating them so mindlessly, sorry. So what do I mean by being mindful? I'm talking about sitting down, making a meal out of this food that you love so much. What I mean is just sitting there and enjoying the food. When was the last time you ate this food and intentionally switched on and dialed into all of your senses? When did you make a short list in your head about what that food smells like? What does it look like? What are the textures? What does it taste like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it spicy? Is it creamy? Is it crunchy? When was the last time you heard the noises from this food, from the packet? When was the last time you minimized distractions? I'm talking getting rid of your phone, getting rid of the TV, and just really, you can get rid of your spouse if you want, but that's not on me. Just really sitting there and enjoying that food. This is eating mindfully. Another little thing that I want to add here, which is not on my notes and I wasn't going to say because it's a bit of a secret, but I'm going to tell you anyway. One way to eat mindfully is to really reduce your stress before you go into eating. Now, a lot of us are in high stress mode. We are stressing out throughout the day. Maybe we're going to these least nutritious foods at a time where we are most stressed. Now, the best way, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a second, but the best way to eat these foods is when we are relaxed. You can do this by a short meditation, by breathing, by journaling, by getting rid of your stress first and then going down and eating purposefully. But it's really, really important to just be extremely mindful in a place where your body is able to digest properly, instead of in a mode where we are having to run away in fight or flight response, which is where we live in stress. Let me know if this is making sense, of course. Was that even a fly or was it in my eye? I think it was in my eye. How bad is that? Okay, I've got 2 more points for you guys. 2 more points. Bear with me. You're doing really well. Thank you for sticking with me so far. So the next point that I have is learn how to emotionally regulate your nervous system without food. Mic drop. Now, let's backtrack a little bit, because my notes, I just go straight in there with my notes. I don't give myself like sentence starters, which I should, and then I read my note as my sentence starter, and now I've just given you like the whole meat, the whole shebang. So what I mean by this is, if you are always craving certain foods, if there's foods that you really, really enjoy, foods that you're always eating, maybe you're eating certain types of foods at the same time, maybe you're craving foods, or maybe you just know that you're not going to be able to lose weight, or you think that you're not going to be able to lose weight because there's foods that you enjoy so much. I'm going to ask you or talk to you now about something that's going to be very hard hitting and very difficult to take. And it is difficult for most people to understand and take on. And sometimes they need a little bit of decompressing afterwards. So let's just tackle this straight on. If you're emotionally eating, you are dissatisfied in a certain area of your life. If the only way to connect with your spouse is at the dinner table, you are probably dissatisfied with your relationship. If you are finding yourself bundling yourself into the car and devouring a packet of biscuits or a packet of crisps or chips if you're in the States before you drive home, you're probably dissatisfied with your work or your home life. There are so many examples that I could go on where people are dissatisfied with their life or the next task. They're bored or unhappy or just stressed. Okay, this is called emotionally regulating with food. This is a way that our brains have decided to cope in these moments or prolong a certain emotion or feeling or time, so we don't have to tackle the hard shit in our lives. So for example, I'm going to give you another one here. Carrying on eating at the dinner table. This one comes up a lot with my clients and my coaching practice is, well, I don't want to finish my food, because when I finish my food, I've then got to get up and I've got to go to wash up the dishes, and then I've got to clean up, and then I've got to put the kids to bed. And it's like, hang on. So you're telling me that you're not allowing yourself to sit there for another 15 minutes and not eat because you feel guilty for not eating and sitting there, but you'll happily continue eating beyond the point of enough, into the realms of full, bloated, stuffed, and feeling so sick because you're buying your time. Whether that is feeling dissatisfied or don't want to do it, or you're stressed, or you're already tired and the next task is going to be hard, you need to acknowledge that that is where you're at. Stop trying to buy time with food and start buying time with your life. Because if you are buying that time in that moment, whether it's just before you go into work or on a break, maybe you can sneak out for a break. Smokers do this all the time, by the way. Smokers do this all the time. Think about it. If you're not a smoker, you'll probably notice how many times your colleagues will go out for a smoke. And it'll probably feel a bit sickening at first, because you'll realize how much time they are actually taking off, and you're still there working through that entire time. So I can't get comfortable today. Very fidgety. And I went to the gym today. you'll probably get really pissed off with how much time they're actually not working and you're still working. But choo, my train of thought has completely gone. My point here is stop buying time. Okay, because you are either going to pay for it now by getting up and doing that thing, or you're going to pay for it later by being overweight, sick, depressed, stressed, maybe still in a relationship, in a house, in a place, in a career that you're not actually truly happy with. So practically this point here is just to hit it hard and say, if you're struggling to let go of certain foods, you need to understand what they are bringing to your life. When are they bringing this to your life? Start noticing little patterns and commonalities in when you are eating these foods, in your emotions when you're eating these foods, in the tasks or situations that you're about to or have been in. Start acknowledging that. Okay, you need to start learning how to emotionally regulate your nervous system without food. What this means, and it's scary because we've been using food as a coping mechanism up until now. What this means is we have to find something else that's not food related to cope. Hey, it is not your freaking fault. I can assure you it is not your fault. It is society and marketing and movies and expectations. Think of it like this. How many times have you seen in a movie or a TV show where they'll come home, they'll pour a glass of wine, they'll drink the wine and it's like an orgasm and they're like, oh, that's better. Why are we using alcohol and food? Why are we normalizing? The why, I guess, is fucking redundant by now. It's more of how can we change this? But why are we normalizing drinking alcohol and eating food to regulate our emotions? In that moment, instead of that glass of fucking wine, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what the hell do we need? Do we need a bath? Do we need away from technology, away from social media? Do we need some me time? Do you need food? Are you actually physically hungry? Do you need to journal, to write away your stress? Do you need to write a to-do list because you're so pent up thinking, oh my God, I need to remember all of this and I don't know what to do? In the moments when you know that you're choosing food, you know that you need to start addressing the shitty ass stuff that is in your life that has been put off so far by food, and understand that there are ways to help fix that and to help solve that without food. Okay, so my last point, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. My last point is, if you're struggling with facing your life, if you're struggling to understand and regulate your emotions without food, if you're struggling to plan the right foods, to leave the foods behind, to understand and distinguish good and bad foods, and to separate that guilt and shame, if everything or anything that I have said today hits a chord, makes sense, and you're living and feeling this, jump on a call with me. Just write the word call below, we'll sort it out. I don't get on a call and expect you to pay for coaching if that's what you're worried about, but I do expect you to make the choice of asking for a call, because I'm not going to hound you for a call if you're not ready to make change. I'm only wanting to work with people that are ready to make a change. If you write call down there, that means you're ready to make a change. That's it. That's just the next step. Just write the word call. We can jump on a call. If it's not right for you, at least you're going to get the 3 very steps that you need to take to get you unstuck and into action. I love you all very much. Thank you so much for staying here, for being here. If you have any questions, pop them below. Make sure to tag me. Also, I am doing a challenge coming up soon, so please let me know if there's anything that you are particularly struggling with, and I could probably include it in the challenge. It's going to be exciting and fun. So Take care, folks. Much love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.